down the dirt road tracks, leaving all they know, never looking back, trading in the fast lane for a slower kind of tune.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Power and Pony Garage Diaries. Thank you so much for joining with me today. Today is definitely a cold one, so I put my hot coffee into my trusty Yeti that my brother bought me for Christmas this past year, and that's going to help keep me warm while the shop warms up and the fire is going in the wood stove. Today I am tackling getting the seats out, specifically the front seats, which are a 20-40-20 split bench stylus seat. Basically meaning that there's a seat in the middle that you can fold down and it's a center console with cup holders, I guess. Anyway, thankfully, I thought I was going to have a hard time because those bolts were pretty rusted in there, but thankfully they came out pretty easy, all with the use of an impact. Since I knew my dad and I were going to start tackling the floor first, I figured I might as well start working on getting the carpet pulled back. Initially, I thought that I could get away with just taking out the front seats and pulling the carpet back halfway. Not so much the case. I'll have put up a later video where I actually just end up pulling everything out. On today's video, I just managed to get half of it back. That carpet, I don't know if y'all have noticed in these Fords, but that carpet is so stinking heavy and stiff. It is unbelievably hard to work with, especially if you go the more difficult, complicated route, which I chose to do, and only try to get half of it back. Don't recommend that. Just do the full thing all at once. And I knew that in order to get to certain areas and really get in there and work on the truck, like the cab mount floor supports, we were going to have to take off the front fenders. Also because we were going to do rocker panels, and there's just no way of really getting in there without taking the front fenders off. So first things first, take the inner fenders out. Those are pretty simple. There's just a couple small bolts you got to get out. Now, to get the fenders off, it is kind of a process. There is a lot of things under the hood that are mounted to the fenders. So we spent a good while just making sure everything was disconnected from the fenders. Everything from a battery box to grounds to electrical components and modules. Those all had to get disconnected from the fender and put over to the side. Some of the things we ended up hanging with bungee cords just because they seem to be a little bit more delicate. But we thought we could get the fender off possibly without taking out the front headlight. We soon realized that in order to get those fenders off, headlights need to come out. So it is a process. In the process of removing my driver's side front fender, I found out that one of the eyes that attaches the fender to the cab was actually completely cracked off just because there has just been so much movement, so much tension in areas where there shouldn't be just because of how damaged that the floors are, and just that there's really no support there for the cab sitting on that cab mount floor support. Unfortunately, when we took the front bumper and that front cowling off, that's kind of sits behind the bumper, I took a good look at the rad cradle and realized that there are definitely some areas that need some attention. And again, because these areas are completely corroded, it's putting stress in other areas where there shouldn't be. So like the top of the rad cradle is actually cracked where it shouldn't be. When we took a look at this, we realized that, this is really something that we should probably tackle first. Also that the rad cradle bushings were basically, or the cab mounts, whatever you want to call them, they're basically non-existent. So was going to have to order up some cab mounts for old Black Betty. Also realized once we had all of this stuff off, all of the front bumper and the fenders, that my leaf spring bushings were also basically non-existent. So I placed an order through Summit for my cab mounts and my leaf spring bushings. Now everything probably would have gone a lot quicker on removal if all of these bolts on this baby weren't all rusted out, but that's what happens when you work on a 1995 truck that, none of these bolts have probably ever been touched in the life of this whole truck. So that's pretty much what we got done on old Black Betty for the day. The shop really never warmed up because it was in the deep freeze. We were like in minus 40s. So with the wood stove, just didn't want to warm up. So I kept a lot of layers on for the most part of the day. And until next time, thank you for joining me. Hope you like, share, and subscribe to my video and follow along with me in the process of restoring this old 1995 7.3 turbo.